I'm sorry if we're not going exactly in order on the instructions that came with the kit. I kind of wanted to get a lot of the metal work done first, and then the rest is pretty much assembling stuff. So, like for example, the kit comes with these split rings, and there's two ways to put the split rings on. Right now, it's asking for two to be installed on the axle in between the vertical plates that hold the axle on. And one is to loosen it up and slide it onto the axle itself, or just undo these two bolts completely and pop them apart, put it back together. Now, as with most of the bolts that come with this kit, the bolts that are part of these split rings are 3/16 Allen. So just loosen them up. As you can see, it'll split apart when you get to a certain point. Loosen them up all the way, or how much you need. Again, you can either slide this on the axle or take it apart and put it back together around the axle. I'm going to take them apart and loosely place them on the axle for now, because I've got the axle basically where I wanted it and I haven't marked it yet. What I mean by that is you want to make sure that the axle is, equal amount on both sides, because you don't want it to be, unaligned. Unaligned? Not aligned? Never went to, never ever was good at the English class part, I've always been a builder, so I just build things. So again, instead of taking out the axle, I want to leave it in, and I'm just going to split these apart and attach them. So got my 3/16 Allen wrench. I take this bolt out all the way. Same with this other side, just take the bolt out all the way. And as you see, I now have two pieces. One reason why it's called a split ring. Let me hold the bolts in a different hand. Now these are 1.25 inch size. And what's going to happen is we're just going to go around like so. I'm going to take one of the nuts, slide it right back in, take my Allen key, and I'm gonna keep it loose because I know I'm gonna have to adjust it left or right on the axle. Yep, not the final position for it. So you might go over there, might go over here. I don't know yet. We'll find out. The brake disc and the hub for the brake disc. This is gonna wrap around that axle. I think it might end up in between those two split rings. I don't know yet. We'll find out. So this is basically going to attach right in the center right there like so. Nice thick disc. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to take 4 bolts, cap bolts again, Allen's, and you're going to slide it through one side, take your locking nut, put it on the other side, and lock it in. Tighten it down. Don't have to, wrench it like there's no tomorrow. Nice little setup they got there. What I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to Loctite these as well. I might even throw a washer on both sides as well. Haven't decided yet. Let's actually see if the 5/16 washers actually fit. I bought 100 of them. So yeah, bought a box for 100 5/16. Wasn't that expensive. They're cheap. So let's see what's going to happen with this disc brake. So, oh yeah, they'll fit beautifully. Okay, Cool. Let's see, for spacing wise, got that there. Put another one on this side. Does it fit? And look at that, it fits. That's going to be awesome. So, I'm just going to hand tighten it for now. Put some Loctite in between. Tighten it down and it'll be ready to be installed. Very, very simple design. Again, I'm using Loctite for vibration purposes. Again, I don't know what the protocol for this movie is going to be, if they're going to have time to check every nut and bolt. And I hope that, you know, once you build this thing, you guys go out there and you check the nuts and bolts and your welds every once in a while on it. You know, I'd rather you be safe and have fun than have issues later on. And it's like any other, you know, vehicle or any other kind of thing you're gonna ride, bike, motorcycle, car, whatever. You want to do preventive maintenance on them, always. You don't want to be out there and somewhere and all of a sudden something goes wrong and you're not gonna be able to fix it. So just check it all the time. Like, you know, I check the air pressure on all the vehicles all the time. My car at home, I check the oil. You know, first weekend of each month. Just take the dipstick out, check the oil, see what happens. What does it take? A couple seconds? Not that big of a deal. Yeah, this turned out to be a cool assembly. Again, it's, you know, it's your project. You do what you want. I'm actually doing it for somebody else. So I got to make sure everything works. Everything's going to be, you know, ready to rock and roll. I even got a friend of mine who's going to come in and help test drive this thing. She's a stunt driver, stunt coordinator. She's been on a ton of major movies throughout the years. She actually teaches stunt driving as well. So if anybody wants to learn in the future episode, she'll be here and she's going to test drive this thing and give us a little review of what she thinks of it. And give you more information about, you know, where she teaches and what kind of stunts they teach. She's been in the business, I'd say, well, I've known her over 25 years and she's been in the business longer than I've known her, so. Her husband's also a stunt man as well. So, very cool people to hang out with. So, there you go. It's pretty much almost done. And now I'm going to start putting Loctite on it, so I don't have to worry about messing with it later. I'm going to be using Loctite 242 for that disc brake, so if I have to disassemble it later on, we can. It's not going to be a permanent bond. Some of the red version is more permanent. This is going to be a blue version. Loctite, still, make the entire bottle blue instead of just a sticker or a label. Make the entire bottle blue, so from across a room I can see one bottle's red, one bottle's blue. I know which one to get real quick. The other issue is I'm colorblind and I can't see that from across the room. So I have to walk all the way up and find it. Just make the whole bottle blue. How hard is that? Now, when you use Loctite, everybody, just make sure you shake it up. If it comes in little tubes or it comes in a bottle like this, the only one you don't have to shake up is the stick. It's like a gel, so you don't have to shake that up. But just make sure you shake it up because things could settle in the bottom. And again, it's not going to take a lot. So, right there on the little thread, just going to take a little dab. That's it. And then I'm going to tighten this up. Yes, I know, it's got the nylon locking on it and all that fun stuff. But again, added security for what I'm doing with this. Also, the kit does not come with these washers. I added them myself. I went and bought a pack of 5/16. So you can do that if you like. I decided that's what I'm going to do. I just want, you know, a little bit of added security. And it'll also help, you know, dissipate the load. Not a major amount, but it'll do a tiny bit of work. Oh, we got some ducks in the area. Cool. Again, just a little tiny bit on the thread. Just like so. Lock that sucker up. Okay. Now, the Allen key I'm using is a 1/4 inch, and the socket I'm using is 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch socket, 1/4 inch Allen key for the disc brakes. It's working really well. So, there you have it. One assembled brake disc, all ready to be attached and installed. There's also an Allen key right here because it's got a little split in here. So once you get on the axle where it needs to be, you can tighten that up and it'll clamp around the axle better and it won't spin out. It also has a keyway in it too. This little notch right there. So you can see a little notch right there. And that notch allows it so there'll be a key that goes in there and it won't spin separately of the axle. Okay, now since we're working on the rear end of the vehicle, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the rear sprocket. We just did the brake disc, but now we're going to do the sprocket. The sprocket is been machined. Comes like this. It's actually 2 pieces. You have to pop them apart. They're either Velcroed or zip tied or some kind of plastic nut that holds them together. This thing is very, very sharp, by the way. So be careful on these edges here. It is sharp, and this is where the chain will wrap around it and help propel the vehicle forward or reverse. They do make these in different sizes. They also make them in different number of teeth pattern or tooth pattern or the groove pattern. Again, I'm not a pro at the Go Kart world. This is literally my first go-kart, so all this is new to me on this stuff. Also, the first time I've built a battery-powered, chain-driven vehicle. Everything else has been a shaft-driven or direct drive. So, again, these are very, very sharp. Be careful with them. You will get cut easily with it. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to marriage the two together like this, but it's going to be on the holder, the adapter. So you're going to get a piece that looks exactly like, well, a piece that looks like this. Might be a little different depending on, you know, what kit you get or who's making it or at what time or what version. This is version 2. And the side that has the meat on it or the bolt, that's where this is going to attach to, just like that. And what you're going to do is line up the holes, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take 6 of these cap bolts that come with it, and we're going to just push them through. The Allen key is 3/16 that you're going to need for these bolts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-thread all 6 on this little wheel here. The wheel is threaded, so take that and we're just going to thread them all through. And it's going to take 6 of them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 3 first. I'm going to show you why I'm only doing 3. So we're going to spin them through all the way. Nice and snug. You don't have to make it super tight just yet. Do the other one. Okay. Now we're going to take half of this sprocket, and with those 3 bolts, we're going to line this up to the holes like that, so it just lays right on. Fits very easily. I'm going to take one of these flanged nuts, not a locking nut, but a flange nut. And we're going to attach it on. It's going to hold it in place. We're going to do all 3. And as always, I'll let you guys know what size wrench you'll need for all this. Again, just be careful. This is still sharp. You don't want to cut yourself. So that's half of it. I'm going to go ahead and install the other half right now. When it comes time to tighten these all down, either use a 12mm socket or a wrench. It's just 12mm. So a socket or a wrench will work. And with every single nut and bolt on here, I'm going to put Loctite on all of these. Again, this is a piece that'll be propelling it forward and reverse. This is the main chain system drive wheel, and I don't want these to come loose from vibration. So I will be putting Loctite in those as well for final assembly. So the rear axle is where the brake caliper is going to go right here as well. This is the brake disc. And what we need to do is we need to attach, what we need to do is attach the caliper to here, and that'll tell us where this ends up on the drive shaft. More towards the driver's side, more towards passenger side, or left side, right side. Because there is no passenger on this. So that's the left side, that's the right side. This is the back of the Go Kart. Right now it's not locked in or anything, but we need to find where this is going to end up. So we have to put the brake caliper on this plate. So once again, there's another bag. It's actually going to be in the, it came in a little plastic clear tub, one of these. It came in one of these, but the one it came in was just an axle mount, because the brake caliper goes on the back, and that's where we're mounting it to where the axle is. Makes sense. The bag is going to come with 4 long bolts, and actually, my mistake, 2 long bolts and 2 short bolts, and all the nuts, the locking nuts you need with it. The 2 long ones are to attach this brake caliper on there. The pads are already installed, which is really cool, easy, make it simple. Then there's inlet and outlets for the brake fluid, and we'll get to all that and what needs to be done with it. And now it's just a matter of you figuring out, do you want to mount it, put these up or these up? It doesn't look really matters either way. It's, you know, purely your choice, I believe, because I don't see, yeah, no, it's going to be 100% your choice. Now on this caliper there's these other holes here that will line up on the holes on the plate that we're going to attach to. The additional holes are for the brake pads, so if you ever need to replace the brake pads, you can still undo them. Do these, you know, with an Allen key, put Allen key in here, undo the pads, and they'll pop out and you can put new pads in. I don't see it happening anytime soon. These pads are really thick. The disc is really thick. I don't see anybody gonna need to replace stuff very quickly. I guess the company's called CP. I don't know. This is them right here. They're made in America. Came in the kit. I've never used this system before. Again, I've never built a go-kart before, so there's always something new. And what we're going to do now is we're going to install this on that plate to allow this vehicle to be able to stop. So this is the disc brake right here. And what we need to do is take this caliper and we need to attach it on the back side. What we also do is need to figure out where the center point is of this part, center point here, so that disc can ride inside of it. You don't want too far left, too far right. You want the pads to squeeze this disc equally. So there might be some fine tuning you're going to have to do. And yes, I already have to do some. I can see that already. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take two of the longer bolts. Okay, so I'm going to take the caliper and the two long bolts. I'm going to install it on this bracket that's right here. There's a metal bracket here that holds the axle in place, and this is where the caliper is going to go. So it's going to go right in there. I'm going to take two bolts and slide them on through. Again, two locking nuts go on there as well. So the locking nut is, I'm putting on the inside. What you're going to need is a 9/16 socket or just wrench for the nut side, and for the bolt side you're going to want your 5/16 Allen key, and just start putting them together. As you see, there's the caliper, and there's the disc in between. Now you notice it's a little rough moving it because the disc is also not centered inside that caliper, and we're going to want to do that next. What you're going to want to do now is slide the disc back and forth in between the pad, between both pads. And you want to see where it's going to line up the best in the middle of the two pads, because that's going to give it the most force. When the two pads come together on the disc, it'll give it the most stopping force. And then when you get to where you want it to be, you want to put a little bit of tension on this nut just to hold it into place. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to take our first key, this little piece that we cut earlier, and we're going to slide it into the keyway. When you're attaching all the axle pieces on, like the wheel hubs and the wheel spindles and all that on the rear axle, you'll notice that a lot of them have this little notch in them right there, and this square rod that comes with the kit is what's known as a key, and it's going to fit into those points of this notch, and the other half will fit in a groove that I'll show you on the axle. So what happens is when the axle spins, this will spin with it. Even though it's locked on, it won't spin freely, it'll spin with the axle. You want that because that'll help propel the wheels forward or reverse depending on how you want to go, forward or back. So yeah, this is now need to be cut into 2 pieces that are 1.5 inches long, and then 2 that are 3/4 inch long. So you need 2 1.5 and 2 3/4 inch pieces of this, and they're the keys that are going to lock things like the wheel hubs and the spindles and the brakes, and this pretty much everything on the axle you need to get locked into place so it doesn't rotate freely. So the spindles, the gear tooth piece, you know, that thing that makes the chain go on it and propels you forward, that piece. And then the brake disc itself is on that axle as well. And then we're gonna obviously put on the caliper and do all that fun stuff. But yeah, make sure you take your time, cut this rod, which is a solid square rod, cut it to the length you need, and don't lose those parts, because those are the keys to basically attach these to the rear axle so they don't spin by themselves. They need to spin with the axle. I'm a little tired today, sorry. And just another quick note, this rod is long enough to give you way more than what you really need for this project. Basically right to there, it's not even halfway. This top section will give you the 4 pieces I need to lock all the spindles and all the things need to be locked on the rear axle. Will all be included in just these 4 little pieces. We're going to use this for the front? No, but save it anyway. You never know. You might need it for future keys. In case one breaks, you lose one. So on these keys, if there's any burrs sticking off the ends or whatever, you want to sand them down or grind them off. This key is basically going to fit inside this brake disc. So we're going to turn it, and I'll show you what's going to happen. So we're going to take this key, find the notch, and just lay it on there for now. We're going to slide it. Let me get you a better shot. Okay, so now this channel in the back axle, we're going to take this little key, we're going to lay it in the channel, and we're going to line up the disc brake so it matches up, and then we're going to insert the key into that disc brake. Now it's going to be tight, and you want it that way. So what happens is now this brake, when this axle rotates, this key is going to force this to rotate with it. But we want to knock the key in more because it's not in all the way. So take a hammer, not heavy duty hammer, a light hammer, and just tap it in. I would take like a nail set and put it on the end, and then hit the nail set with the hammer, and that'll help lock it in. So this is just a light tap. I'm just sliding along here, not even putting any force onto it. I'm just tapping it in, Now I'm going to hit this bolt with the hammer, so I need something to help push that in as well. You could take the extra part of these keys and use that to slide it in, or a nail set, or some tool you just don't care about. But take your time and go slow with that. You don't want to damage this in here, because it's to help with the rotation, of everything. You see, there it is right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the nail set method, and I'll show you that. So now I'm going to do is put my nail set here, which is a steel rod basically, and hit the end, this end with the hammer. This end will hit the key. But I'm not going to hit it hard. I'm just going to be basically tapping it with a hammer. Just enough force to slide it on in. That's it, just enough force. You don't need to slam it down with a sledgehammer. Now that key is all the way in there, and it's now locked in on the axle. And that's not coming out. That's going to help when you want to stop. Now I would check the key every once in a while. You know, if you drive it hard, or do a lot of jumps, or a lot of, you know, spinning, you know, 360s or 180s or whatever else you're going to do with these things, I would check to see if that key vibrates itself in or out. If it does, you're going to want to make sure to pop it back in. Now the other thing about these keys is do not use super glue. Do not use any kind of epoxy or anything in there. What you could do is take a hot glue gun and just a little dab right there, just a little bit, just one little squirt, that's it. Because the nice about the hot glue gun is you can dig it out with a knife or a little scraper, but you don't want to put any epoxy or anything in there, because once it's in there it'll be glued in. If you have to change this piece out, you will not be able to. Another thing to help the key in and to help this rotor from shifting left and right on the axle is use another split collar right here. And what I like to do is I like to tighten them up a little bit at a time on each side, so it's an even pressure while I'm pushing with my hand towards that. I also do not want to put the seam where this channel is, so I rotate a little bit past that, and then once it gets to a certain point, just start tightening them up and go back and forth. Try and make the seams the same size on both sides so it's even pressure, and it'll hold on forever. A quick note about the rear wheel hub when you're installing it on the axle. You want to make sure it goes on the right way. The part that has this notch in it goes out. The part that's angled in, that's the in point to the center. This is the outside where the wheel attaches. You want to make sure this is correct, because once you put the snap ring on, it's loads of fun getting them off, and having to put another one back on is not always the most fun. So we're going to put that on, and then we're going to take our wonderful snap ring, attach it. Again, make sure that this feathered side is inward, this notch side is outward. So at the end of the axle, there's a little thin groove cut in around the axle. What that's for is basically a snap ring. So the kit comes with this little ring. It's a snap ring, basically. See if it'll get in focus. I don't know. Maybe I'm too close. I don't know. But there's a little split in the middle, and it has to open up to get around the axle. And what's really cool about this kit, and what these guys thought of, is they actually included the tool. They included the snap ring tool to put the snap ring on the Go Kart. That's awesome. And I mean, granted, it's not the best one in the world for a snap tool, but it's going to do the job, which is great. So what you have to do is you have to basically use this tool to open up that ring to get it onto the axle. And what it also does also helps keep everything from flying off the axle as well. So it's kind of another safety feature. But it's really a great idea. And the fact that they include the tool, guys and girls, and whatever you want to claim yourself to be, the tool's included. No, it's, like I said, not the best one in the world, but it does the job. It's all that matters. Now, the thing I did notice is there's a little knob right here. When I got mine, it was kind of loose, so I just had to hand tighten it up. Works perfectly now. Problem. You might want to check it every time you're doing something with it. But again, free tool. So this is the end of the axle, and this is where the tire will be attached. So to help from the tire flying off, you're going to put the snap ring in this little groove right here. So what you do is take the snap ring, try and place it on. Now you want to take your time, wear some safety glasses, because if it snaps off, odds are it's going to hit you. So what we do is put the tool, there's two little holes on the top, and there's two little pins on the tool. So those pins go into the holes, and then you're going to stretch it out, just like so. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold it on there. Put the little pins in, and we're going to start stretching it out. We're going to, again, take your time. You might have to work one edge over the other. And once you get lined up with that groove, let go of the pliers, spin it around, make sure it's okay. Now, I don't like to put it on the same this groove right here, this opening. I don't like to put it where the key's gonna go. It's just my personal preference. You can put it however you want on there. So now what's going to happen is this piece will then slide up here, and it can't go past that at all. So again, pretty simple, really awesome. They included the tool, and it's very easy to do. Just take your time. It is kind of, you know, scary the first time you ever do that. Again, there will be a gap in between here because the groove is a certain size, but that's not coming off unless you use the tool to pop it back off. So that's how you use the snap ring tool that came with the kit. And there's a snap ring. With the wheels, you're going to get 4 of these little bags. 2 of them will have 3 bolts, and then 2 of them will have 3 bolts and a bigger bolt in them. The 3 and the one with the 4th one with the bigger bolt, that's the back. So that'll go on the back hub of the tire, and what happens is the 3 bolts go through the hub and through the tire and bolt it to the well, not the tire, but the rim of the tire, the wheel. And the bigger one is what compresses the hub onto the axle. So it's a little beefier, bigger one that's going to do that. And then of course the hub's going to have a key to slide into the hub, so it doesn't unravel from the axle and actually spins at the same rate as the axle. And that's how the wheels are going to spin. Again, I'm going to Loctite everything. Vibration, movie. I might not be there. Don't know yet. So yeah, this will get some Loctite. Thread it in. Done. So on the hub, you'll see there's a little split here inside of it. That's where that thicker bolt's going to go through, and it clamps it down even more. You're going to want to force it all the way toward the snap ring and find where the keyway goes. We're going to put the key in just like we did with the other piece. Now this is going to be a 1.5 inch key. It might be really loose because this is split, so it's not creating any force. So when the key gets inserted, it might be really easy to slide in. Once you clamp this though, that key will be forced in there. So now we're going to take our wonderful Loctite, take the bigger bolt, I'm going to put some Loctite on it, just like so. And we're going to insert it in here and screw it in. And you're going to want to use a 1/4 inch Allen key to tighten this bolt. The whole time I'm holding it towards the end because I want it to be against that snap ring. Make it nice and tight. This is not going to meet up. This seam will be there. You just want it tight, and you can, with some Loctite in it, it's not going anywhere. What we're going to do is we're going to take another split ring, just like so. We're going to install it right there. So take your 2 halves, put one on top, one on bottom. Set them up and lock them in. Again, don't have the seams on the same as the groove, because I don't want that to come out. I make the seams match on both sides, so it's equal pressure. There you go. These bolts are going to need a 3/16 Allen wrench. So basically find their holes and just tighten them up. Thread them all the way through. There's 3 of them per side. So now this side is going to stay this way. It's not coming off. And you can still take the tires out. Bingo, just like that. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to back it out a little bit just so I can see a little bit of the thread. So basically I'm going to stop, I'll do more than half. The bolt is going to stay equal right there, so now it's flush here. I got some thread here. What am I going to do? Put some Threadlocker on it. There we go. Just like that. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to tighten it up. There you go. That's not coming out. Unless I want to take it out. We're going to do the same thing. Just repeat the other 2. And you'll do the exact same thing for the other side. So now you've got 3 bolts in there. So now I'm going to add this nice, awesome tire. It is wider than the front ones. It is the same circumference, but it is wider. And it's a beast. And again, just install it like you would a regular tire. As with the front, the back ones also need a 11mm socket wrench to attach. I've got the extensions on it because otherwise I won't be able to get in there and get to the bolt. As with everything else, I am adding some Loctite. And as with everything, just take your time. Every nut and bolt you put together is one less you got to deal with. One big ass tire. Nice big ass tire they put on these things. And all you got to do, the other side, just do the exact same thing. Okay, so most of the back is done. The spindle right here is still not locked in yet with a key and the locking collars because I don't have it lined up yet to the motor. So I'm waiting for that to get done, and once I get that all finished, it'll be tied in exactly to that motor. I'm going to take some industrial zip ties and clean all this up, the wiring, when I get to that, which I think might be the next video. I don't know yet. Placed the battery on there temporarily. It's not locked in at all. It's just sitting in there. It's interesting, there's a lot of space, a lot of gap on both sides of the battery. I want to see, maybe they might have a wider one that lets it run longer, I don't know, but we'll find out. And there'll be a panel that goes in here, floor panel that goes in there as well. And then, of course, some more points for mounting the cameras and stuff like that. The battery comes with a strap that attaches here. It'll attach here and come up and over the battery down the other side. We might do something a little different than the battery strap. Might have a clamp system we might make and put it on there. Haven't decided yet. See what happens on that. But as you can see, there's the back axle. Pretty much everything is installed. Also need to work on the brake lines. Like I said, massive rear tires. Makes it nice. And then steering wheel. It's all working. Front wheels. We're going to do the camber and the adjustment of the steering when we do the final build, because I still need to get the frame a little sanded here and there in different spots, and then we're going to coat it with a hard shell truck bed coating, and so we'll see what happens on that. So that's basically the back axle. Now what's nice about the back axle is, as well, is when I paint this thing or we truck coat it, I just got to take out these bolts, and then the whole axle should just pop straight up without the chain on it, or the brake line hoses. Well, no, I can leave the brake line hoses on because this disc should just pop straight out. And again, try and get the disc as much center as you possibly can here, so you have equal clamping force on this disc for the brakes. Help you stop better, help you stop quicker. Yeah. Again, the motor, I'm going to go to the sprocket. That's the next thing I think I might do. I don't know. We'll see. Again, this is not, I didn't install the key on the sprocket yet because it's not lined up with the chain yet. So I got to put the other gear on this motor right there so I can put the chain on it. And then there's sprocket guards that came with the kit. I don't know if we're going to use them. I might actually have to make up a chain guard that goes over the top of the whole thing. I don't know. I'll take a look at it, see what's happening. But that's the build so far. Once again, I want to thank you for checking out my videos. Again, I'm not getting paid by any sponsors for these videos. Anything that I'm using, I will put a link in the description. It's not a link where I get an affiliated payment or anything. There's no extra charge for that stuff. It's all free to you guys. I'm not going to charge for it. I'm not getting any. None of these people are paying me to say anything that's on here or paying me to do this. So everything's been out of pocket from a production company that is paying to get this done for a movie, and I'm getting paid to build it, and that's it. And I'm just bringing you guys along for the adventure that I'm on. I'd like to say once again, thank you for watching, and let's break the algorithm by subscribing and liking. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day, and see you on the next one.